the bet lost, but I think it was equivalent to having a pair of aces in poker. You got to go all in, and then someone else just has a flush.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Nick DiMartino. That's Liam Barwick, and this is another edition of Unnecessary Goalposts. We're doing unnecessary wagers, but it's coming out as the Moving the Goalpost episode for this week. Johnny is sick, so we decided to kill two birds with one stone and just combine the two shows. So you can follow me on Twitter at Nick DiMart, Liam at LiamMTGP. You can follow the Empty the Bench Network across social media at ETB Network, and you can follow this podcast at MTGP ETB across social media. You can watch all Empty the Bench shows on youtube.com/ETB Network, and you can listen to this show, Moving the Goalposts, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to like and subscribe. All right, Liam, how you doing today?
I'm good. If I'm looking up during the show at all, I have Villanova laying 2.5. It's coming down to like 8 minutes left. But
that's how you know college football season. That's how you know football season is coming to an end when you're betting basketball.
Yeah. I mean, I thought two things. So let's start with the obvious one, which was that I put all my chips on the table with my units, and I took the Chargers. Now, I'm going to say this. The bet lost, but I think it was equivalent to having a pair of aces in poker. You got to go all in, and then someone else just has a flush. I think I was completely right about the Patriots. They did nothing the entire game until the very end. I think I was just scorned by the Chargers. Offensive line was horrible. They have a million injuries. Herbert was terrible. And they did nothing the entire game. So while obviously that was a bad loss for me, I do think that I was vindicated isn't the right word because they won. But the Patriots didn't look terrific. I think the Chargers won that or lost that game more. So the point being, the Patriots putting up the points they had, they would have lost any of the other games in the week with that point total.
All right. So here's the problem with your pick. You made it before you knew who their opponent was.
Right.
That probably wasn't the wisest decision. Maybe. Would you have changed your mind? Would you have not made that pick if you saw they were playing the Chargers?
No, I still would have made it.
You still would have made it. Okay. So here's the issue with that. Here's the issue. The reason you're only half right is because you were only looking at the Patriots side of the equation, but
Correct.
You weren't looking at the Chargers side of the equation and remembering that they have a million injuries. They've been terrible in the playoffs these past couple of years. Herbert's been terrible in the playoffs these past couple of years. I mean, his whole career, basically. He has not been good in the playoffs. So, I mean,
not that bad.
What's that?
Not that bad.
True. And part of it is the offensive line. Like, it's not just on Herbert, though certainly a part of it is on Herbert. But does that mean we're equal in units now?
Yes.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So we go into this fresh. But again, but you would agree that the point of making the bet against the Patriots was semi-correct in that the Patriots didn't do anything where if they come in and it was 27-14, then they came in and said, listen, I have egg on my face, whatever. This was more about the Chargers.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree at all. But here's my question: what if it was the other way around? Let's say both the Patriots lost, but they played really well. And the Chargers, they were just unbelievable that game. Would you come in here saying, look, I was wrong about the Patriots?
No, I would have said the Patriots played the one team on their schedule and they lost. I mean, the Patriots offense played terrific against the Bills and they lost. So
Here's the problem, though. You're trying to have it both ways.
no, because I never said that the Patriots were bad because of their offense. I said they've played an extremely easy schedule, and frankly, they played the easiest situation they could have played in the playoffs.
I don't disagree. The point I'm making is you're talking like the Patriots won, and you're saying that you were right about the Patriots because they didn't win because of how they played, but because of how bad the Chargers were.
Right.
What I'm saying is if they had played a really good game.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I understand. But, their defense played a good game on Sunday. I mean, but, yeah, I understand. But I just think also – so let's move on from that for a sec. Let's go to the recaps because, unfortunately for them, the sort of money grab of adding a Sunday night football game and a Monday night football game for the NFL was sort of backfired in that they were by far the two worst games of the weekend, the Sunday night and the Monday night game. Certainly the Monday night game was the worst game of the weekend.
It was all right. It was good in the first half, but not in the second half.
Well, but it was still a rock fight the entire game.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
As the Patriots was, but we'll start with it. The Carolina, we split our picks in the first going. Carolina and the Rams. It looked to me like the Rams. I did take Carolina, but it looked to me like the Rams were going to run away with the game a few times in the first two quarters. They let the Panthers hang around, let them hang around, and then the Panthers took the lead. And then Matthew Stafford kind of turned into Matthew Stafford. The Rams flexed why they were the better team, and they ended up winning the game. But massive credit to the Panthers, and it was a proof that, listen, I know the Panthers were 8-9 and they weren't a good team, but this is why we're seeing the insane amount of parity in the NFL. I mean, the Panthers had a legitimate chance to win that game as 10.5-point dogs as an 8-9 team against one of the teams that's being picked to win the whole thing. And that's why these playoffs have been so good, because the parity is there.
Yeah. The parity is there. I mean, I don't know. When you say, I guess you could say there's a certain amount of parity, although I'm also starting to think that the NFL is becoming the NBA, which is that some of like the bottom tier teams are just unwatchable. Like, I think that's also a little bit of it. Not that it matters for the playoffs.
But to be fair, though, there's been more parity in the NBA recently. The last year's playoffs were awesome in the NBA. This was the best day of football or the best 2 days of football that we've watched in a very long time.
I totally agree. Although part of me thinks that, look, I think the Panther, I don't disagree. There is definitely a lot of parity between the middle of the NFL and the top of the NFL. That's definitely true. Sometimes, though, I think it says more about the top teams than it says about the middle teams. Like sometimes it's because the top teams just aren't that good. I think that's the case too sometimes. But I also I think this game in a lot of ways, I think it said more about the Rams than it did about the Panthers in a lot of ways. Not that the Panthers didn't play a good game. I give them a lot of credit, but you know what? The Rams do have a tendency. Like the Rams, they don't travel well.
Sort of, but I mean, Puka had an unbelievable game. Stafford had a good game. I mean, I agree with that they don't travel well, but I also think that it wasn't exactly like, oh, well, they were so bad and they let them in it. I mean, they were running away with the game at one point. I do think that this is going to sound ridiculous, but I do think that it hurt them that they went up 14-0 right away and they took a 17-7 lead right away, because I do think that they thought, well, we're 10-point favorites. We're dominating them right now. And I think they took their foot off the pedal a little bit as well.
They lost focus. They
certainly lost focus.
Let's not forget, though, Stafford hurt his hand. I don't think he was himself that whole game.
Which, by the way, they need to start putting those big helmets, those padded helmets on offensive linemen, because that's the second MVP candidate of the week that hurt their hand hitting their offensive lineman's helmet.
Yeah. Because it's like cushion. You know what? Honestly, I know the things look goofy, but it might not be a bad idea for everybody to wear that helmet.
Yeah. The other game was the best game of the weekend. So again, I do think that, I took the Packers, you took the Bears. I said that the Bears were fraudulent. I've said that for a while. I think they've sort of gotten away lucky. Great 3 by Villanova. I think they've sort of gotten away lucky. Now, I think that that focus sort of was true. I just didn't account it when I took the bet because it happened again. I mean, in my opinion, Caleb Williams was terrific. The Bears' offense was terrific, but I don't know how you can sort of say that was not just a full-fledged choke job by the Packers. They missed a field goal, an extra point, and a field goal. Their defense let up 25 points in the fourth quarter, which is I don't care how much you lead by ever in the game, you're never going to win a game giving up 25 points in the fourth quarter. Many of the receivers were open for days for the Bears, especially on the last touchdown. Everything sort of went wrong. They had an offensive lineman go down as they were driving down the field and caused a 10-second runoff. The missed extra point hurt them badly because they wouldn't have had to try a Hail Mary. Jordan Love fumbled the Hail Mary. They misused the timeout at one point. That was a complete and utter choke job by the Packers, as well as Caleb Williams played. That just fully was mistake by the Packers.
All right, so I have a few thoughts on this. On one hand, obviously based on my pick, I'm not shocked by the outcome of this game. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm a little surprised by the degree to which it happened. But look, the way this game played out was very characteristic of both of these teams. It's characteristic of how the Bears have won most of their games, and it's characteristic of how the Packers lost most of their games, which is blowing the game in the fourth quarter. I mean, it's not like we didn't see that happen 3 weeks ago, just in a different sort of fashion. And you're right, the Packers, absolutely epic choke job. Here's my question to you, though. 2 questions, actually. Do you still think the Bears are frauds?
Yeah.
Second of all, do you still think okay, so if you think the Bears are frauds.
Well, I mean, it depends what you mean by fraud. I mean, are they a good team that's a playoff level team? Yes. Do I think that they are a championship contender and the second best team in the NFC? No.
No, but I don't think that makes them frauds.
Well, that's why I just said it depends what you mean by fraud.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't personally use that. I wouldn't use that to describe. First of all, I rarely ever describe teams as frauds because, like, we kind of know what they are. I think there are I think that's more of a thing in college football because every team you can hide behind like an easy schedule. The NFL, it's a lot harder to be an actual fraud. But were the Packers frauds then?
Yeah, the Packers have been a bad team all year.
Okay, so you think both teams were frauds?
But the Packers were never a top tier team. I never would have picked the Packers. If the Packers were playing anyone else, I never would have picked them. And the biggest blow to the Packers because they didn't win a game after was Micah Parsons going down. And you can see the difference in Parsons not being there in that game. I mean, they never got any rush. They never got any coverage on defense. And they just completely choked the game away. I mean, it was just a sucker's play for them. And the Bears did absolutely nothing for 3 quarters. They did nothing for 3 quarters. They blew every opportunity they had for 3 quarters. And the Packers couldn't put them away. And I thought that the Bears were still going to come back. I will say when they scored a touchdown to go up 9, I did think that the game was over at that point. But the Packers just somehow found a way. And I will say,
but I also think you could just as easily say the Bears found it. I think it was both. It was a Packers choke job, but the Bears also took advantage.
Yeah, but the guy missed an extra point and a chip shot field goal.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying it goes both ways. As much as we have to say the Packers choked the game away, we also have to give the Bears credit and Caleb Williams credit for how well they played at the end of that game. I mean, on 4th and 8, game completely on the line.
Well, hold on. They got extremely lucky because the refs blew the whistle at a very convenient time for them. It was a false start, but on the 4th and 8, on the 4th and 3, the offensive lineman fell over and threw the ball 50 yards above Caleb Williams' head, and they got very lucky that whistle was blown, or the game would have been. Correct?
You're right. They did get lucky. I'm not denying that, but
the ball bounces your way sometimes.
No, I don't disagree, but that doesn't mean that they don't deserve credit for making that play. I mean, look, the Jets get lucky too sometimes, and they don't take advantage of it. So,
of course,
there's a little bit of
saying, are they a top tier team?
No.
Listen, the Giants.
No, they're not. I'm just saying they deserve some credit. That's it.
They're in a similar situation, in my opinion. First-year head coach, quarterback that no one believed in that's coming back, as the Giants were 3 years ago. They made the divisional round because the ball bounced their way a lot of times, and then it came out. So I don't know how great they are, but the Packers the Packers defense has been soft the entire year.
I don't disagree, except I don't know if I'd compare them to the Giants, because I think the Bears have a more promising future with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams.
Well, you think that we thought that about the Giants at that time? We thought Daboll was going to be the
That's a totally fair point, except I think Caleb Williams is a lot more talented than Brian Daboll. That's all I'm saying. And I think Ben Johnson is probably a better coach than Daboll, although that's yet to be seen.
Right, we don't know yet.
That's my opinion. That's just
right. So let's move on then quickly with this recap. Then the Sunday game, the first game, I thought was really unfair that was a first round game. I thought that was a game that certainly could be the AFC Championship game. I could see both of those teams making the Super Bowl if the winner of that game. I thought it was a terrific game. It was back and forth all game. And listen, it came on Josh Allen, and Josh Allen has a lot of pressure. On his shoulders in these playoffs, and the Jaguars take a late lead, and it's okay, here we go, this is your time, and he made the most of the moment with a terrific play on the QB sneak on 4th and 1 to get himself into the end zone on the play, but then to the 1 yard line, and the defense makes just enough plays. I will say the Bills' defense was very good for 3 quarters. They have a bad defense. The defense played well. But I did feel bad for the Jaguars. And I thought that either the winner of that game had a serious chance to make the Super Bowl. So I thought it was sucky for us and for both the teams that was a first-round matchup.
Yeah, I totally agree. And going into this game, you could have said that the Jaguars were the hottest team in the NFL. I mean, look, overall, outside of the quarterback, obviously, the Jaguars are just a better, more well-rounded team than the Bills. I mean, the Bills are just very Josh Allen reliant. They give up a lot of points.
You need sometimes.
What?
It's all you need sometimes.
Sometimes it's all you need, but it's not as sustainable as having a good team around the quarterback. Like outside of Allen, I don't think the Bills are really that good of a team. But I actually took the Bills in this game. I guess the best part of the worst part of this game for me is that I slept through it. I was awake for Texans Steelers. Maybe I wish that would have been the 1 o'clock game, and this would have been the Monday night game.
It probably should have been, yeah.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, look, the problem with the Texans Steelers being a standalone game is that we all knew that game wasn't going to be all that entertaining. I mean, look, the Texans are a really good team. They're also, for a team as good as they are really, really boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like the Iowa of the NFL.
Right. And the last thing I wanted to mention on this game, so at the end of it, Liam Cohen had a press conference. A reporter from the Jacksonville paper told him to keep his head up, told him to that he had a magnificent season and he did a good job. I was stunned. I mean, beyond stunned that there were journalists who had problems with this, and there were a lot of them. I was stunned by that reaction. I didn't see how anyone could have had a problem with it.
Well, they were saying, "Well, you're a reporter of the." Because what question did she? Was this following a question?
I have no clue.
Like, I guess here's what I'll say: only in Jacksonville could that happen. Imagine that happening in New York. That would be after a loss. Like that would never happen. That being said, I mean, was she wrong?
No, and also like, who cares? Like the press conferences are the most like bullshit things in the world. Like it's generic questions and generic answers always.
Yeah.
So I didn't see a problem with it. And then McAfee, came out against the reporters, calling them basically like old farts who had a problem with it. And then Michael Kay actually attacked McAfee today.
Whoa, Michael Kay versus McAfee. Right.
So, but which also like McAfee was like all these reporters are old curmudgeons, and then Michael Kay was like, "Oh, no, we're not." Coming from a 65-year-old guy who's doing a radio show at 1 p.m. and has like has been around for like 30 years. It was like, yeah, like you're the exact example that he's talking about. But yeah, that was a great game. The afternoon game is probably the game that's gotten the most talk about after. I took San Francisco. I did have a feeling they could win. I would have probably taken the Eagles money line if I had to take a money line pick, but I did have a feeling San Francisco could win the game. You have to give the 49ers a shit ton of credit. They were down to their 6th and 7th linebacker. They lost Kittle during the game, and Purdy and Shanahan brought them back. Now, it was a horribly called and horribly executed game on offense by the Eagles, which has been par for the course for them for the entire year. I will say that you have to give the 49ers a lot of credit, but the Eagles defense did play a great game. Mitchell had 2 interceptions, and the offense was just anemic the entire time, as they have been all year. And I felt the big difference, well, first of all, I thought Sirianni yelling at A.J. Brown in that moment was not the greatest move, and I did feel that after that moment, the Eagles sort of never recovered on offense. And I felt that the first, with San Francisco down to their 6th and 7th linebacker, Saquon was having a great game. He was eating at the start of the game, and they sort of went away from him.
Yeah.
Now he was banged up a little bit, but they have other running backs in that room as well, and they sort of went away from that, and it just didn't work out for them.
Well, the Eagles' offense at times goes completely dormant. It's been a very streaky offense.
Yeah,
and people like a lot of people were saying, look, the Eagles are what they are. That's just really what it is. And they have a lot of ups and a lot of downs. And a lot of people were comparing this Eagles team to the one from 2 years ago. The truth is, it's not the Eagles team from 2 years ago that just completely fell apart. And it's not the Eagles team
bad the whole year.
What's that?
Team was bad the whole year, sort of.
Well, I wouldn't say they were bad the whole year, but
they were that the whole year.
But like the point I'm making is that the team from 2 years ago, like totally collapsed at the end of the season. But this Eagles team didn't do that. But it's also not the Super Bowl team. It's really just somewhere in the middle, honestly. And there's a lot of issues with the offense. First of all, Jalen Hurts is a good player. I don't dispute that. The problem is that it's very hard to win with him when you're playing from behind. It's easy to win with Jalen Hurts when you're playing from ahead, but he's not he's not like Vito. He's not a come from behind kind of guy. So,
and especially when you take out, I mean, Saquon had a terrible year this year by his standards. So when you take out that threat, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder for Hurts. And I thought the game was horribly cold. I mean, even at the end, it was a 3rd and 11 that went to a 4th and 11. You have to go on 4th down. Why are you trying to get 11 yards on the 3rd and 11?
Yeah.
Try and get 5-6 yards, run the ball if you have to, and make that an easy play. Instead, now it's a 4th and 11, and they know exactly what you're going to have to do. Yeah. So it was a horribly cold game from the start. It was a windy game where there was missed extra points and that. But you have to give San Francisco a lot of credit. San Francisco is sort of the opposite of LA. I think San Francisco travels well as well. But you have to give them credit. McCaffrey and Purdy sort of did it one-handed. I mean, an unbelievable play. You talk about how bad the Eagles play calling was. The call of the trick play was absolutely terrific. And again, you look at it and you look at that and you say this team just went to – I'm sorry to do this, but this team just went to Philadelphia and won, and on their 7th linebacker, and their defense shut the Eagles down all game. And guess who's coaching their defense? And guess which team?
Of course you had to bring it up.
But is it not wrong, though? This is what I'm saying. This is why there's organizational dysfunction at certain places.
Well, here's the thing.
Now, you can be a good coordinator and not a good coach, but still.
I'm just going to say that. So it's a little different when he's not the Niners head coach. It would feel a lot worse if he was the Niners head coach. Here's what I'll say. We all knew that Saleh was a good coordinator. We all knew that, and it's proof of this, by the way, is that after the Jets fired Saleh, the Jets defense went in the tank. It was terrible after they fired Saleh. So that doesn't surprise me. The way I see it is, though, if this thing is going to happen, I'm sort of rooting for it. Like, I wanted to see –
Of course.
Because I want to stick it to the organization. I wanted to see Rodgers make the Super Bowl. I want to see Darnold
Of course.
Like, I don't get why Jet fans are so upset about this. It's to the point where it's like, it's almost better. It is better that way.
Of course it is. Because it shows the incompetence. Just like it was for Saquon. Just like I know it's a rival, so it's different. But the fact that Saquon went and won the Super Bowl next year, I thought was good because it showed your incompetence.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And so I'm not opposed. And a lot of like, you see Aaron Rodgers threw shade at the Jets after he lost to the after the game. And a lot of Jet fans were like really mad at him. And it's like, why are you mad at Aaron Rodgers for talking about the organization the same way we do?
And if you were a Jet fan and thought you were going in to sign a new contract at work, and in 5 minutes they said, "Yeah, we're moving on from you." I mean, you're going to be like, "Oh, I like this employer." I mean, come on now.
Yeah, like he's just really look. That's what makes that's honestly part of what makes Aaron Rodgers such a great player, which is that he loves proving his doubters wrong. Like the story of the college professor he had when he was at JUCO.
Exactly. So that sort of segues us again. We said it was sort of uneventful until the end. The Texans beat the Steelers. The Steelers did nothing. The Texans also sort of did nothing. Their defense scored 2 touchdowns late. CJ Stroud had some. I bet on the Texans, and it was frustrating watching CJ Stroud. It's a tongue twister at some points because I mean the one play where he picked up the fumble and tried to throw the ball again and then fumbled it again was frustrating. It was very Iowa-esque. Again, 30-6 was a very misleading scoreline. It was 10-6 with about 8 minutes left.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't nearly that bad.
The defense scored 2 touchdowns. And yeah, I mean, the Texans are moving on with a terrific defense and should be another rock fight. All right, let's get into the picks now. Let's start with college. Let's start.
Oh, you want to start with the national championship?
Yeah. It's okay. Wait, hold on. Sorry. The national championship's after the playoff games?
Yeah, I'm doing it in order.
All right, so let's go to them last. Sorry, I thought the national championship was before it.
No, that's Monday.
Okay. I apologize. All right. Let's start then with the Bills and the Broncos. I am taking now. It depends where you're at. Some books have this at 1.5 for the Bills. Some have it at 1.5 for the Broncos. Either way, you're sort of in the same. You're in the same realm. It's an essential pick 'em. Right now, you have the better defense and the home team getting points, and in some cases only laying 1.5. I think that you have to take that. I'm not fully sold on the Broncos, although they did lose to the Bills in the playoffs last year. Completely different situation. A lot of pressure on Josh Allen. Like I said, he did perform on Sunday. But I just think we got the better defense. You got the home advantage in Mile High Stadium. Tough place to play. Nix is not exactly a tomato can quarterback, so they do have an offense. And I think you got to take the Broncos here with the rest. Now, the rest could hurt them, but with the rest, the better defense in the altitude, at home, essential pick 'em. I don't see how you don't take the Broncos here.
Here's my issue with – I guess my issue with the Broncos is the lack of experience they have. That's my biggest concern. Almost a little bit like with the Patriots, except I wouldn't say they had an easy schedule like the Patriots did. I don't know. I'm going with the Bills here. I have a sneaky suspicion about the Bills. Ultimately, it's hard to pick these games because you're taking a team that's more just like Jacksonville, which is much more complete than the Bills, but also doesn't have the quarterback that the Bills have.
Right.
I think if Allen plays a game like he did against Jacksonville, I think the Bills win. If Josh Allen is just okay, then the Broncos win. I think Josh Allen is going to have another great game. So I'm going to go with the Bills to pull this one off.
And I'll tell you where I have a worry, even though the Broncos defense is terrific. So I guess, that's what works me. I'll tell you where I have a worry with the Bills. Or with the Broncos, I should say, but with the Bills winning. the Jaguars had the best run defense in the NFL, and they completely stopped James Cook. The Bills could not run the ball, and the Bills won the game. If the Bills can run the ball, I'd be scared of the Bills.
Yeah.
Because if the Bills can run the ball, it opens up so many lanes for Josh Allen.
And don't forget, like, Jacksonville was a really, really hot team going into that game. Like, it's possible Jacksonville's in better form than Denver is.
Jacksonville beat the shit out of Denver.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. That is where I'm scared. I do think that they did it. And I do think that Vegas is telling you something with this line. I mean, when is the number 1 team versus a number 6 team that's at home, Denver, been at that number?
Yeah, never. Like
Vegas is trying to close it. And Vegas, by the way, is unbelievable. I mean, every game was close and every spread was close, barring the first game.
I love when people think they're smarter than Vegas. Like, the people say this line is disrespectful. It's like, what do you think? You know something they don't?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's go to Seattle. Seattle is laying 7.5 against the 49ers. Over-under is 44.5. I am going to take the over 44.5. Sorry, I have 4 units on that play before.
4 units, I'll take 3.
Okay. I'm going to put 2 units on the over 44.5. If I had to touch the spread, I would take San Francisco just because I don't think Seattle blows teams out and they're not as good at home as they are on the road. But I'm going to take the over. The last game was 13-3, so that's, I think, why this over is a little low, and that's why I'm a little nervous. But listen, San Francisco has a lot of guys out. Seattle's offense is good. Their defense is good too, but San Francisco proved they can put some points up against a good defense with duct tape. So I think that this game goes over.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 49ers here plus a 7.5. I think the Seahawks are a better team, but the Niners, like you said before, are a team that really travels well. It's a rivalry game. Right after the Seahawks really beat them pretty bad, I don't think that's going to happen again. I think 7.5 points might be too much, and I still have a little bit of doubts about Sam Darnold in a big spot.
Yeah.
The line, I think, in a game like this is just a little too big, especially if they play on the Niners' terms, in which case it would be a lower scoring game. I just don't see Seattle covering this number. I'll put 2 units on the Niners plus.
In Seattle, if you look at Seattle against the Rams and the 49ers this season, there hasn't been many blowouts. So you know, and 7.5 in a playoff game is a high number. And I believe Fred Warner is coming back this week. He practiced.
Oh, Sydney's husband.
Yes. So let's go. Bachelor reference for those people out there. Yes.
I knew who his wife was before I knew who he was.
Correct. She picked someone who looked just like Pete too. But I will go. Let's go out to New England. This probably will not surprise anyone. This is.
I wonder who you're taking in this game.
So this is going to be a 10-unit lock of the week for me. I am taking the Texans plus 3. I just think their defense is going to be suffocating. The Texans now. The Chargers were not as good, but they were a better team than some of the teams that the Patriots have played. The Texans are on a complete different level than most of the teams they have played. The best team that the Patriots have played this year is the Bills, and the Bills' defense is nowhere near where the Texans' defense is. Can the Patriots defense, I should say, stop the Texans enough to keep up with how good the Texans defense will be in this game? I'm thinking not. I think the Texans are going to come out and win this game. I just think this is a different animal, and the Texans are a beast. They have a very good defense, and I think they're a different animal than what the Patriots have played.
Yeah, in this game, I'm just going to go with the under 40.5. Texans games are, like you said, always rock fights. And the Patriots, the Patriots certainly didn't win because of their offense against the Chargers, and the Texans defense is on a whole another level than the Chargers defense. I mean, Chargers defense is good. The Texans probably have the best defense in the league, and they're going to struggle a lot more. I just like the under here. I don't think either team is going to score a lot. I think it might look similar to the Steelers game, except I don't think the Patriots will fall apart like the Steelers did at the end of the fourth quarter. But I'm just going to go with the under here. I'll put 4 units on that.
Yeah, that's brutal to root for too, by the way. But I agree with the pick. But it's
what time is that game?
3:00.
Oh, 3:00. Yeah, I can actually catch the second half of that game.
Yeah. Yeah, or you're going to be in Vegas, right?
Oh shit, that's right. I'm going to be in Vegas, so that's going to be a noon game for me.
Yeah. What's the sports book you would go to?
Mandalay.
Actually,
the sports book in Vegas, the sports books in Vegas are actually great for college football because it's not too crowded like with the NFL. Like you can always get a seat. The NFL, the problem is it's going to be so fucking crowded.
Yeah. And the sports books in Vegas are also really terrific for anyone who's looking to not spend a lot of money and get some secondhand smoke in.
Yeah. In case you want that,
Yeah, in case you don't want to spend money on a pack of cigarettes, hang out at that. But yeah,
I wonder if anybody's actually done that.
Yeah, but it's definitely it'll definitely be packed on. It'll definitely be packed on a playoff Sunday. All kinds of stuff going out there. All right, let's close out the NFL.
Cowboys Raiders.
Yeah, I mean. It's the NFL is a different animal. Did you? We talked about this off the air, but the release of the top 100 watched telecasts of the year, and 82 of them were the NFL, and I believe 92 of them were football total. So the 49ers Colts Monday Night Football game a couple of weeks ago actually beat out the Academy Awards in viewers on telecast. So
I don't know. I think Peppa the Pig might beat out the Academy Awards, but
no, the Academy Awards was one of the only things that wasn't. If there wasn't a presidential inauguration and address this year, the NFL would have done even better in that list. All right, let's go to close it out. Rams and the Bears. I want to touch the spread, but I'm a little weary for a few reasons. I'm going to go with the over 48.5. I think the Rams have a really good offense, not a great defense. I think you could say the same exact thing for the Bears. And the Rams, importantly, it's going to be very cold on Sunday, but in Chicago, but it is not going to snow. It is not going to rain. It is not going to sleet, which is good because Stafford can still air it out and the Rams can run the ball. The Rams have a terrific two-headed monster at receiver with Puka Nacua, who I think is undoubtedly right now the best receiver in the NFL at the moment.
I mean, he was so good. He even made a great play on defense.
We didn't talk about that. That won the Rams the game.
It did.
It won the Rams the game. It was the best play of the game. It was either a bad route ran by Puka or just a bad throw by Stafford. That was a clear interception that Puka made a terrific play on. Knocked the ball out of the defensive back's hand. I believe the Rams actually went on to score on that drive. That was the play of the game. And Puka is a great blocker too, which a lot of people don't take into account. Sorry, Colin Cowherd, but the receivers can block at some points. But I'm going to take the over here. I'm weary on the spread because of the cold, because of the way the Rams travel. I'd probably touch the Rams, but I'm a little weary on that. But I do think this is a surefire over.
Yeah, I'm actually picking the same thing. I'm making it 5 units. This is an over.
I'll make that 4. Who would you go?
I like the over here because first of all, the Bears get into shootouts late in games. It happens a lot. And I could see that happening here. Like you said, both teams are offensive teams, not so much defensive teams. And I just think that this game I could see it starting off a little slow, but I think late in the game, this will probably go over. I'm worried about picking an actual spread here.
Yeah, same.
Based on how both teams play. Because on one hand, like I said, the Rams don't travel well, and the Bears are just never out of games completely. But the problem is that, like, the Bears might get too far behind and to the point where they can't catch up, and then it's a little too.
Well, and the Bears being able to come back in games is why I'm petrified by the hook.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The hook is brutal on this.
So I'm not taking the Rams. I just don't trust the Rams playing on the road enough to take them, but I also don't trust the Bears because they don't play a good 60 minutes of football.
If you had to take somebody to win, you would take the Rams.
Like to cover or to win?
No, just to win the game out. If I said the Rams, yeah.
The Rams, definitely. But the cover, the spread thing is tough. That's why I'm just going with the over.
Yeah, I agree. That's, I'm in lockstep with you on that. And I think you look at the weapons on both these teams, just terrific. So I agree with you on that. And this is going to be, I think, a good closer. Where we had a really bad closer this weekend. This is going to be a good closer. It feels like it's going to be a real good. It feels to me like the other ones might be a little on the lower scoring side. Even though I did take the over in Seattle, I could also see it going under. But I feel like this is going to be the game of the weekend to close it out.
Yeah.
The day after that, we go into the national championship.
By the way, is it just me, or is it like a crime that the national championship in football and basketball is played on a Monday night?
Well, I feel like it was last year. There was like no juice for the national championship because it was the same day as the inauguration.
Yeah,
that was like a
Which,
joke.
By the way, I don't even get the big deal about the inauguration because that's like watching a football team go into victory formation. Is the president going to
watching the draft?
What?
Watching the draft.
Yeah, exactly. But it makes it's even less than that because at least with the draft, you might not know who's going to pick where.
Right. But but the point was, like, I felt like with all that. I mean, even, whoever likes him or doesn't like him, even with Trump, it's always going to be a heavy news day. But I just felt like last year, like, it just lost a lot of juice with that. But it is always a Monday night. But it is a Monday night, so it is a Monday night again this year. Holiday. Don't know how many times. I think it was on a holiday last year too. Holiday edition. Indiana and Miami. Indiana is laying 8.5. Miami against Miami, and the over/under is 47.5. I've rode them all year. I'm riding them again. I'm taking Miami plus the 8.5. I'll put 5 units on it, and I'm also going. This is not part of the show, but in reality, I will also sprinkle plus 265 money line. Miami, which I think is being overlooked seriously in this game, is playing an actual home game in their home stadium. This will be a 80 to 90% Miami crowd.
Oh, Indiana, I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
It's a home game.
Continue.
Indiana are a terrific team. They have blown out everybody. They have made me look foolish a lot of times, but I just think that the national championship is a little bit different. And I think that Miami hangs with them. I think Miami has the defense to hang with them. And I think that Miami can put it together here and sort of end the storybook on Indiana.
I am putting 1 unit on this, and I'm taking Indiana minus the 8.5. It's no disrespect to Miami. Miami has had a phenomenal season. I think they've had a phenomenal season. This pick says way more about Indiana, I think, than it does about Miami. Indiana is blowing everybody out. Everybody in their path, they're blowing out. I mean, look, Oregon just destroyed Texas Tech 23-0, and they look like they didn't belong on the same field. I think Miami's really, really good. But you know what? I think Mendoza's too good. I think Indiana, they're just so good on both sides of the ball. Indiana, they have one of the stingiest defenses we've ever seen. They hardly give up any points. And I just don't look, their defense is on a whole nother level than Ole Miss's defense. I don't think Miami will be able to run the ball effectively. I think they're probably going to, like they were against Ole Miss, I think they're going to be playing from behind most of this game. I don't think they're going to be able to win this. I don't think they're even going to cover the number. I think that they hang with them a little bit. I could see this game being a little bit low scoring, but I'm going with Indiana at -8.5. But I'm only putting 1 unit on it.
Well, and just put so there's been a lot of perspective about or talk of the 2019 LSU team. I don't think it's even in the conversation. But do you know what the 2019 LSU team was favored by going into the national championship?
Do I know? Oh, against Clemson, I would say 7.5.
So they were favored by 4.5 going into the national championship. So they're saying right now that that's how good Indiana is, that they're that much better than the best team in college football history, that they've blown each other out. Now, remember, LSU.
In fairness, that might say more about how good Clemson was that year than Miami.
And LSU didn't blow them out until late in that game. But I just think there has to be a stumble at some point. I don't think that they are 2019 LSU. I mean, you look at the guys that were on that team. This is not that. This was, that was Joe Burrow. That was Jamar Chase. This is a bunch of guys who are doing unbelievable. They've had an unbelievable season. I just think there will be some stumble at some point. It can only happen here. And again, I think that it's being underfactored how big of an advantage it is for Miami to play at home. And it's not just the crowd.
Here's the thing, though. Indiana fans travel really well. Like,
it's not just the crowd. It's not just the crowd. It's being at your home, being at your home dorm, being at home versus being in a hotel, traveling, flying there.
That's
being
fair.
in a situation, having played at that stadium all year versus having not played there.
That's a fair point. But I also think that I think the crowd is going to be like 50-50. I don't think it's going to be 80.
I'd be stunned if it was 50-50. Stunned.
I think it'll be close, or at least close to 50-50. At least close, I think, because Indiana fans, they travel very well.
Okay, but and look at though. Listen, when the Buccaneers were home, they won the Super Bowl. That there was no crowd there. I don't believe there was some crowd. And the Rams were at home. They won the Super Bowl with sort of a 50-50 crowd. I think the other aspects of being at home also come into play, but I can't. It's just amazing, and to be living in a world where Indiana football is blowing everyone out is just beyond comprehension of someone thinking back to 2 years, 3 years ago.
Yeah, and Signetti is now officially the second best Italian head coach in college football history.
And well, yeah, and I hope that if I know who you're talking about, then hopefully he has a better finish to his career. But and the other thing about Signetti is he's very Belichick coded in that he never smiles ever.
Those are the best coaches.
He's got a sour face on the entire time. Saban was sort of like that too. Danny Hurley is very much like that. I don't think Danny Hurley really ever smiles during games.
Yeah.
And he will certainly chew guys out up 30. So it could be, but it could, and listen, it could also, just to bring it back to Danny Hurley, it could, just because I mentioned Danny Hurley, it could also be very in the vein of the UConn team a couple years ago where they were, the best team and they blew everyone out in the tournament.
Yeah.
It could come down to that. So I just don't think it will. I'm going to take Miami. I'll put 3 on it. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week and we'll see you then.
See you then.